All right. So yesterday we left off with a question: How come? How come? How could it be that we should bring down into this world such a high gilui, which was not even there before the Tzimtzum? This seems to be a tremendous oir, um, as he explained. Not only the oir of the Tzimtzum, but even an oir which is higher than the Tzimtzum. And the world still would stay in its existence and not be in its battle. How is that? How is that possible? The Rebbe is basically going to explain now that through in the Maimer, through the level of Iskafia, we bring about the idea of Odom. The word Odom, which is a name of man, consists of two parts: Aleph, Dam, Odom. The Dam, blood, represents the person. The Aleph represents Hashem. So we're saying that the Aleph and the Dam are like two separate pieces. When the Aleph combines with the Dam, then you get Odom. And that's why when we say make, the Pasuk says that the Eibishter said to Moshe to make shtei chatzoitzrois. Chatzoitzrois, those are the trumpets, is chatzoitzrois means chatzoitzuris, half shapes. Basically, a person is a half of a shape. If you combine it together with the Eibishter, the two halves make it one whole. How do we combine and make the Aleph together with the Dam connect the Shtei Chatzoitzros? That's going to explain that the world should remain while we have the greatest Giluyim should combine together with the world, and the world is not going to be in this battle because it goes through the Tzimtzumim. Let's look inside. The Oistes. It's known the teaching of the Magid, Rava Magid, on the verse. It says, Ashtei lecho shtei chatzoitzeres kesef. Make for yourself two trumpets of silver. He says, two chatzoitzeres. Chatzoitzeres means chatzoi tzuris, two half tzuris, two half shape. Shahakadosh Baruch Hu v'ha'adam, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the person who is Adam, Atem Kruyim Adam, talking about the Yidden, but Adam is Yidden. The Eibishter and Yidden are like two half of shapes. Eim shtei chatzoitzres, shtei chatzoitzuris. They're like two half shapes. It's like a puzzle that you have to bring together to make it into one. The Adam, the word Adam, who oisios, that is the letters of Aleph, Dam. So these are the two halves. One half is Aleph, and the other half is Dam. Aleph, hu HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Aleph, that's Hashem. Alufay Shel Olam, the master of the world. That's why he's Aleph. Aleph means Aluf, meaning he is the in charge of the world. That is Hashem. V'dam hu ha'adam. And Dam is the person. The person, before you bring in the Aleph, he's only Dam. together with the aleph, with the other half of a tzura, he becomes an odom. V'dam hu odom. Sh'odom mitzad atzmai, the person on his own, lifnei shem mizdabek b'HaKadosh Baruch Hu, before he connects to Hashem, hu b'chinas dam. He is in the level of dam. A person on his own, without Hashem connecting and becoming Adam, is dumb. This fits the Zehu Shamru Razal. This is why our sages tell us, "My diksiv lo yisoichlu al hadom." What is the meaning? Rabbi said, what is the meaning? The pasuk says, "Don't eat al hadom." So we teach it, "Lo yisoichlu koidem shetispalalu al dibchem." Don't eat before you pray for your blood. So what does it mean you pray for your blood? That is referring to the person. The person is called the blood. Here we're saying that leiseichlu, you should not eat before you daven for the blood, for the person. So you see that the person himself is considered to be dumb. That davening for the person is dimchem. That's your blood. That means that dam is a odom. Ki ha'odom mitzad atzmai, for the person on his own. Lifnei shemizdabek b'HaKadosh Baruch Hu al yidei ha'tfila. Before he connects to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to Hashem, through the davening of b'chinas dam, is the level of dam. So now we're saying, b'chol echad mehem, each one of them, ha'alef ze HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the aleph which is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'hadam ze ha'odom, and the dam which is the person, urak chatzi tzura, is only a half of a shape. Ukeshem mizdabkim yachad, when they connect together, you connect the aleph with the dam, Naset Tzura Shalema, then it becomes a complete shape, complete form. The aleph and the dam comes together. Odom. Then you get the Odom. So it explains over there, the Maggid explains, how do we connect these two, the aleph with the dam, the two half of the shapes of the tzura? Through tzimtzumim. Vair Shom explains there, Shahayis Chabrus da Kodesh Baruch Hu im ha'odom. How is the Kodesh Baruch Hu connect with the Odom? While Yidei Shah Kodesh Baruch Hu also kamot tzimtzumim. That is through HaKadosh Baruch Hu made many restrictions. Derech kamo oilamos, in a way of many worlds, kidei sheyiye achdus im ha'odom, so that there should be unity with the man, im ha'odom. That the way the Eibishter connects with the Odom is there's restrictions. There are tzimtzumim, and meaning it doesn't come directly from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to the Odom. The way the Eibishter comes to the Odom through many oilamos, through many tzimtzumim, kidei sheyiyeh achdus im ha'odom, so that there should be union, to go together, unity with the person. The Eibishter has to go through, the light of Hashem has to go through many tzimtzumim, so that it can connect to the dam to become Odom. The similar to it is also from the person. The Eibishter goes through many tzimtzumim to come to the person, but the person has to go through elevation to connect to the Eibishter. And in a similar way, it's from the person's side. In order for a person to connect with the Eibishter, to make this Adam, he needs to separate himself from all physicality until he goes up through all these worlds. He elevates himself through all the worlds. And there will be the united with HaKadosh Baruch Hu until he is negated from his existence. The Eibishter's light goes through the Tzimtzumim, and the person's elevations through those Tzimtzumim until he becomes united with the Eibishter. And then you call an Odom. That is the Torah, the teaching of the Rav Magid. So the Tzemach Tzedek explains this. This that Hashem made all these many restrictions. And the person needs to separate himself and elevate himself. That is as explained in Likutei Torah in the Maimer, second Maimer of Tiku. What we're trying in order to connect the upper and the lower. Because what we're trying to connect, we're connecting the Ein Sof, which is the Elyon, and the Adam, which is the Tachten, and the person, which is the Tachten. How do you make a connection for something which is high up to the thing that is low? You need the higher one to go down, and you need the lower one to go up. So, the Elyon v'Tachten. The upper one needs to descend and go lower than his level. And the lower one needs to go up and go higher than his step. The upper one goes down and the lower one goes up. So it explains this. So why did the Eibishter make many tzimtzumim in order to come down? Because with regards to the Ein Sof, the Pasuk says he is not Adam. We're trying to get the Ein Sof to come down in the level, become Adam. Ein Sof itself is Lo Adam. In order for the Ein Sof to dress up in the 10 spheres, to come down to Atzilus, in order, the 10 spheres is Tziyur Adam. The 10 spheres of Atzilus are called the shape of a person because it has just like a person. Has the 10 koiches, the nefesh has the 10 koiches, that's the Adam. So to come down from the Ein Sof into Atzilus, which is the shape, the Tziyur Adam, Hualidei kamot tzimtzumim, that is through many tzimtzumim, for the Ein Sof to come down into the level of Eser Shviris. Umaisif. And he adds over there. The Tzemach Tzedek adds, the Zesha Eser Shviris, Heim B'tziyur Adam. Why is the 10 Shviris the shape of a person? First of all, because the 10 spheres are 3 lines. You have Chesed right, Gvura left, and Tiferes, so on, all the Chochmah, Bina, and Das. So all of them divide in 3 lines. Begam, and also Lifish Eses Spheres, because because generally speaking, the 10 spheres in a general way, they are thought, speech, and action, which are the three letters of the word Odom. Aleph, Daled, Mem. These three kavim is the Aleph, Daled, Mem, or Machshava, Dibur, and Maisa. That means the shape of Odom. Umekasher zeh im Gimel Bechinas Odom. And he connects it over there, that because there is three kavim, and because it's Machshava, Dibur, and Maisa, that is connected with the idea of three levels in the person. That's why that's called Odom. That's what the Tzemach Tzedek says. So the Rebbe explains now what the Tzemach Tzedek meant when he says the three letters Aleph, Daled, Mem is Machshava, Dibur, Maisa. V'lechaira hakavona. Lechaira, what he means, the Zeh shegimel ha'oisius Aleph, Daled, Mem Reimzim al Machshava, Dibur, Maisa, that we say Aleph, Daled, Mem hint for Machshava, Dibur, Maisa. Hakavone bozehi. So what he means to say, the Rebbe is explaining, he loirak legimul abchinas Machshava, Dibur, Maisa shebe'eser spheres d'Atzilus. He's not just talking about that within the 10 spheres there is the three categories of Machshava, Dibur, Maisa that are shebe'eser spheres d'Atzilus, which in the 10 spheres of Atzilus. Elogam legimul bechinas Odom, but he's also talking about the three level of Odom, which is Biyah HaKlolim. We're talking about Bri, Yitzira, Asiya on the general level. We have the specific Biyah, which is lower than Atzilus. You have Atzilus, and then you have Bri, Yitzira, Asiya, Haprotis, which is the detailed under Atzilus. But you also have Bria, Yitzira, Asiya, HaKlolim. Those, as he's going to say, Bia Klolim, which is Odom Kadman. And then you have Atik Va'arich and Atzilus. Those are considered the Bia HaKlolim, Ak, Odom Kadman, Atik and Arich, and Atzilus. Sheheim Dugmas Machshava, Dibur, Maisa. These three worlds, the general worlds, are similar to Machshava, Dibur, Maisa. So the Rebbe is saying that the Eibishter to come down to the level of Atzilus, which is Eser Sfiras, but also in order to come down to Machshava, Dibur, Maisa, which is the Bria, Yitzira, Asiya, Klolis, which is Ak, Atik, Varech, and Atzilus, Valpizeh, Zeh, Kodesh Baruch. Also, Kamot Tzimtzumim Lislabish B'Tziur Odom, that the Eibishter made many restrictions in order to dress up in the shape of Odom. Hakavona Bazeh. So, what does it mean? So, he's explaining now what the Magid means. When the Magid says that it's to come down, is not only the Tzimtzumim to come down in Atzilus, but also the Tzimtzumim to come down in the Biyah HaKlolim, in Akatik Varech and Atzilus. Hakavona b'zehi lahatzimtzumim shal yodom hi hamshocha le'biyah haklolim. Even the hamshocha of biyah haklolim, which is also machshava dibur maisa, in order to come down to Odom Kadmon, to Atik Varech and Atzilus, these three general, over the two it has to go through tzimtzumim. Shehem shloisha minei tzimtzumim atzumim klolim. They are very powerful. Three types of very powerful tzimtzumim, general tzimtzumim, before it can come down in general. So all of these restrictions, heim, b'gdei sheyitiyeh hamshocha b'tziur Adam ha'elyon. First, it to be in the shape of Adam ha'elyon. So, but he said the Adam ha'elyon, we're talking about both. We're talking about Biyah HaKlolim, and we're talking about Atzilus. And then further, from Atzilus, we're talking about the Biyah HaProtim. Ula'achrizeh, b'gdei shetiyeh hamshocha ma'atzilus libiyah, in order for it to be the Mimshocha from Atzilus. So first we bring it down to Atzilus, which is the Biyah HaKlolim. Ak, Atik Arich, Atzilus. And then how do you bring it down to Bria Tzira? Who are you? They are parser. Over there you have a curtain. There's a parser. As it says in the teaching of the Magid that we talked about before, Pirush HaKosuv, explaining the verse, Valdemus HaKisei, that the image of the Kisei, so what is the Kisei? The Kisei, that's the Kisei HaKoved. So he says the image where he is already Kisei, where he is covered. The word Kisei, Shu is Baruch Mechusasham. So that is talking already about in Beria, in the Beria, where the Kisei HaKoved, over there it's Kisei, it's covered. Tzemach Tzedek explains what the Magid means. The Kisei, Meloshin Kisui. We say Kisei comes from the language of cover. Hu HaParsa Shehi, which is the level of the Parsa, Shehi Dugmas HaMoshul, that is the Parsa, which is similar to the Amoshul Shemachasu Master. When you give an example covers and blocks al haseichel shebetoichei, on the intellect. So you're trying to explain an idea, and when you give an example, a moshul, the moshul covers on the idea. So the similar way, in Bria, it's covered. The kisei is a cover, so you don't get the actual seichel itself. You get it covered. You get the musa kisei, the mus kimare odom, not the level of odom. Okay, so we see that in order to come down to the world, you need to go through all these steps. So we need to understand. The kiv on shachibur the eirein sof im ha'odom, hu alidei kamo v'kamo tzimtzumim, since the connection of the eirein sof with odom. And we talked about all the levels of the odom that it goes through. Why they come of a tzimtzumim, through many different restrictions in order to come down. And we're talking about also through a curtain. That's to come down to biyah. How is it fit that a person through his work should bring down a revelation which is higher than tzimtzum, which seems to be way beyond the ability. Yud. And the Rebbe is going to explain that this all comes mitzad, the idea of his kafir. It says, "Va'avadetem es havai lekechem." You shall serve, work, avoida. You should serve havai lekechem. Umevadayik admur maharash. The Rebbe Maharash points out the inyan avoida hu tikun v'shedus. What is avoida? Service means that you fix and serve. Mashaeved oived u'misaken l'rabbi. The servant works and fixes for his master. So what do we work? What do we fix for Hashem? What do we need to avoida? We're working. What are we working for Hashem? Since Hashem is the wholesome of everything, how does it fit to serve the Eibishter above? What are we doing for Hashem? What kind of service? What kind of service does the Eibishter need from us? So the Rebbe Marash explains the be'emes ein shayich loymar, that in truth it can't really fit to say shavoida hitzerich gavoya al derech sheirus ha'aved l'rabbi. We can't say that you're serving because it's needed for the above for Hashem, similar to the service of a servant to his master. Hello, it's not the same thing. Sha'olah b'ritzoni yizbarich, but it went up in his blessed want that Hashem has this desire to have a dwelling place b'tachtonim. Eibishter wants it to be b'tachtonim, which says that should be through work. You're not fixing anything for Hashem. Hashem doesn't need you. The Eibishter is shleimusa de koila, but the Eibishter wants, the way he is nimshach into this world is through avodas odom. He explains over there the ikir inyan ha'avodah, the main avodah, idea of service, of work. When you do against what you want, is kafia. You put yourself, you force yourself. Like we find in the Gemara ala posik, so the Gemara says, the posik that says, look, and you'll see the difference between one who works, serves Hashem, and one who doesn't serve Hashem. So it says, when you learn, you study 100 times your chapter, that's called lo yavode. You're not serving the Eibishter learning 100 times, because then it's like you're used to. In those days, it was the custom to review 100 times. That's called lo yavode, not serving Hashem. But when you learn it one extra time, you're changing to what you're accustomed to. You're going out of your comfort. What you're doing is skafia nikra ovid alikim. That's called a servant of Hashem. This is also the meaning that avodah, besides service, who maloshin ibud oires avudim, that you work through like in a tannery, the leather. Over there, you have to work. Ibud oires. How do you work through the leather? How do you make it material that you should be able to use? By stepping on it. That means avodah is to step on yourself. Is kafia, to force yourself to become an Ovid Elikim. This is the advantage of forcing yourself, pushing yourself, even relative to turning yourself around. Because what's the idea of avodah? That you efforting, you're pushing yourself, you're forcing yourself against your nature. Rabbi Shom explains over there, the Rebbe Maharash is Gama Maila Shebitshuva. This is also the advantage of tshuva. But tshuva, you push yourself. Like we find in the Tonat Ve'Eliyahu, as it pertains to Baal Tshuva. If it was accustomed to learn one page, you would read 2 pages. To learn one chapter, you should learn 2 prakim. So if you want to do teshuva, you got to do more. You got to do double than what you did before. So that is pushing yourself. That's the idea of iskafia, because like we said, if the people were accustomed to learn 100 times, so if you learn 101, you go out of your comfort zone, you go out of your nature, you're accustomed to, you push yourself. That's iskafia. That's even more than ishabcha. That avoida is what the Eibishter wants to bring down the Dira B'Tachtonim. That's the Eibishter chose. We're not doing anything for the Eibishter because there's nothing we can do for Hashem. But we're doing to bring down, the Eibishter set it up, that we should have to force ourselves and push ourselves in order to bring them down. And then we continue, we bring down even higher levels and how we actually bring it all down. And we'll continue to explain this further on. Okay.
Thank you.
Let's leave it over here. We'll mamshich tomorrow, Be'ezras Hashem.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.